As I mentioned, we have special guest Randy Brothers on today with Elite Roofing. So Randy, thanks for joining us.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about it, and congratulations on what you guys are doing to bring awesome value to the roofing community. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I heard about you initially on the Roofer Show with Dave Sullivan and thought, man, I need to get in touch with this guy. He's got a lot going on with roofing. And so I'd love to just give you a minute to kind of share your background, how you got into roofing, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I think, a lot of us who are in the roofing space, we all kind of have that same realization at one point or another that roofing isn't exactly a job, it's a lifestyle. And in my story, my journey into roofing was pretty interesting in a sense that I kind of feel that roofing chose me. I'm a third generation contractor. I've been in contracting my whole life, or in and around contracting essentially my whole life. And, watching my dad, grandpa build things, and my grandpa had a little roofing company when I was a little kid, and just kind of got exposed early on. And then growing up, I wanted to, I knew I wanted to be in contracting, but I didn't want to do it the way that that my grandfather and dad, like, where they just built this business over years and years and years and worked with their hands like really hard. I was like, I wanted to try to shortcut that and really focus on the business side of construction and contracting. So went to school for business, went to school for construction, or I went to school for business and actually had a full-time job, as an apprentice, and ultimately into a superintendent working for a general contracting firm. And I actually went in, I was doing basement finish, remodel, building custom homes, track homes, even some light commercial work. And I was doing ground up builds, so my original vision, in life was to be a custom home builder. I had no clue about roofing. I wanted to be the general contractor. I thought that was kind of the king of the castle when it comes to the construction industry. And come the last economic downturn in 2007, 8, and 9, I that whole dream got kind of stomped on with the economy crashing and what they call the Great Recession now. And at that point, I was trying to build a construction company, and in a county that at that one point in time had the highest foreclosure rate in the country. So there was literally the entire market just dropped out right underneath me. So I had to kind of pivot. I had to make changes. I had to figure something else out. Ultimately, I went into work as a restoration contractor, doing fire and water restoration, and that's what got me exposed to kind of insurance claims and insurance restoration. And through that, I actually went and became an insurance adjuster. My intention was to go work hurricanes and kind of salvage the big financial trouble I got myself in as a young entrepreneur. And that's ultimately what exposed me to roofing, where I was an adjuster, general contractor, and then I started dealing with these roofing contractors out in the field, up on roofs, like seeing these big trucks drive up, like, oh, what are these guys doing? And it kind of piqued my interest, and ultimately adjusting wasn't really the lifestyle for me. And I in between deployments working as an adjuster, I decided, hey, let me go ahead and sell some roofs and see what happens. And I ended up falling in love with it, kind of found me, and did really well, got myself out of a bind, and ultimately, realized that there was a big opportunity in the industry to apply my knowledge as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, to, at the time, and someone can still argue that it's a fairly archaic industry, and that there was a lot of inexperience and a lot of people doing roofing that really had no business, like didn't really know about business. And I was like, well, I had a great business, a lot of experience, so let's go ahead and do this and see if we can do this the right way. And that's kind of ultimately how I got started in the roofing business. And that was 11 years ago now.
Interesting. Miller, his story's kind of like yours.
Yeah, a little bit.
You got to see your dad doing it. You got in sales and then ended up owning your own company.
Yeah, or taking over dad's company and kind of modernizing it and all that. But yeah, we started in 92, but kind of 04, 05 is whenever I started. And it's changed a lot since then too, for sure.
Oh, it changes every 3 months, it seems like.
Yeah.
This industry is rapidly changing. Again, it was archaic. So now we're just catching up to the rest of the world, and which ultimately creates opportunity for a lot of different entities, which is why you see all these, platforms opening up, softwares, podcasts, technology, all the things that are just coming at us left and right, it's because of the rapid change and rapid growth of our whole entire industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's fast forward to where we're at now with your company, with Elite Roofing now. You know, one of the goals of this podcast is to really just give listeners a seat at the table as we interview owners of roofing companies, presidents, CEOs, and key key players in the industry to just learn from. And so, you know, one of the things we really like to talk about is leadership, because everything rises and falls on leadership. I mean, I've heard you talk about that as well on your Facebook page, and I actually got a degree in leadership. That's what my bachelor's degree was in. So read a lot of books on leadership and love the topic. But what have you seen? What's been like the most pivotal thing that you've learned for your leadership in leading Elite Roofing? And also just give our listeners a little context on Elite Roofing, how big your team is, and what you guys are doing in Colorado.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because, you know, I'm a big fan of John Maxwell, right? And that's one of the big, you know, foundational things that he teaches. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And over the years, I've really taken that to heart. And another thing that he teaches that I also feel is a great leader is someone that empowers and builds other leaders up, right? He talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And at that pinnacle level, you're empowering others, you're developing other leaders underneath you. And once I kind of really started realizing that concept, you know, things really kind of started falling into place. But I think really what it all starts with is understanding yourself. You know, is looking in the mirror and knowing your strength, knowing your weaknesses, and being, you know, real with yourself in a sense that, you know, you're probably not good at all the things you think you're good at, or you're not cut out to do all the roles and wear all the hats that you think you have to do to get things right. And then what you want to do is just kind of envision, you know, a role for yourself as a leader, and start to take away the things that you're not naturally good at, and to try to develop others into leadership positions to take those things off. You know, I kind of talk about in the book and in my program, like the 5 pillars. And I think, you know, there's 5 key leadership roles in every business or every roofing company that you really got to have in order to build a model that's truly scalable. You know, and it starts with the entrepreneur, right? You got to have the visionary, the entrepreneur. You got to have your bean counter, who's the numbers person. You got to have your implementer, who is a person that can implement and manage people, the general manager, the office manager, or whatever. You got to have a sales expert, right? Somebody who can lead a sales team, a sales leader. And then you obviously got to have where am I at? Drawing a blank on the 5th one, obviously. Oh, obviously the production, right? You got to have an expert leader in your production department, right? You got to have someone that's an expert in the trade that you're building, and in our case, it's roofing. So you got to have your leader on the production side or on the roofing side that can make sure to ensure quality and ensuring you're doing a good job. So the idea was, hey, how do we, you know, fill those roles? How do we build those leaders up within our organization and empower them to then, you know, to make decisions and lead others? And I think leadership really comes down to, and I'm a big believer in just like I said, leadership through empowerment. Is, you know, I can either be the person that makes all the decisions for everybody. That's the final straw, that everybody has to come to me to make a decision. Or I can be the person that lets others make decisions, even if those decisions are wrong, even if they make mistakes, and then coach them through that. I feel like that mentality really helps build others up. And we've seen a lot of success with that, you know, leadership through empowerment strategy.
That's so good. Well, and you go back to the 5 pillars. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm all those things.
We all do. We all start off as all of them, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea.
It's so key, though. And in my past, the organization I was with in the past, it was a healthcare field. And we did, with every new hire, we made them do StrengthsFinder 2.0. Mm-hmm. And we want to find out what their top 5 strengths are, but we also wanted to find out what their bottom 5 were and make sure, hey, nobody has all the strengths, but we just want to make sure that, like, your bottom 5 are these things. Like, you're really bad at project management. We don't want to hand you this big project with 50 moving pieces to manage. But it says you're really good at these other things, like being strategic and being a starter and all that stuff. So we want to get you to start stuff, and then we're going to let you hand it off to somebody else to complete it, you know? So it's just so key. I love that you mentioned Maxwell, man. He's one of my favorites. That's great. So, and just for some context, for some people listening to this, this may be the first time they hear about you. So just give the little 60-second stats on Elite Roofing. I mean, you're not one guy with one sales guy with a truck with a magnet on the side.
No, not at all. We started off when I was doing GC work in my basement, right? And then in 2010 is when we launched the Elite Roofing brand. We had one small little office with a little shop in the back, and to this day, we've grown tremendously, and we have 26 full-time employees, 15 full-time salespeople. Or we scale our crews up and down based on demand. And at any given time, there's over 100 people out in the field, or 100 people out with representing this company one way, shape, or form in any given day. So it's definitely grown tremendously. The numbers Grant Cardone always talks about 10xing, but that's kind of what we did. We went from 2 to 20 million in a matter of 6 or 7 years. And then obviously the last couple of years have kind of leveled off between that 15 and 20 mark. And the way I look at it now, I feel like that's really kind of the sweet spot where we kind of need to be, especially with the residential heavy business model, where our growth opportunities are in service and commercial. So that's where I've been focusing heavily on, is growing the service and commercial departments, divisions of our business.
And we need to do another podcast on that, don't we, Miller?
Oh yeah.
Sure. I could tell you where I failed a whole bunch and all the mistakes we made.
So are you just in one spot in Colorado, or are you working mainly hail and going to different sides of Colorado?
We're centralized. So we have a main office in Denver, like kind of in the heart of Denver, just maybe a little bit east of the heart of Denver. And we cover a pretty wide spectrum. We're fully remote, fully paperless. We can kind of we have people stationed all over the state, or all over up and down the main Front Range corridor. But we try to stick within, like 150 mile radius, north and south of us total, where we go to Fort Collins, down to Colorado Springs, sometimes Pueblo. Sometimes we venture up into the mountains if the job's right, or commercial jobs or something. But yeah, we just stick to Colorado. I used to work when I was in sales for a company that did the whole storm chasing, travel all over the country and set offices. And that just wasn't exactly a lifestyle or business model that I really, wanted to be a part of for long term. We also tried expanding. We are licensed in other states, and we just really had to make the conscious decision that we feel like there's plenty of market share here in our local market to really focus on that. And that's where we've been. That's all we do, just Colorado, and that's it. Out of one main core office, we do all that business out of one office.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, it's kind of the same conclusion I came to, because I've traveled, I've gone and come back, and I'm like, man, Dallas is big enough. Somebody always needs a roof here, and Hale's enough that we get enough work that you have some slim years, but you have some good years too.
I dabbled in Dallas a little bit.
Oh, did you?
Years back, and it's like, you know what, like it's like the time I'm putting there to try to build a team and get things going. It's like, what do I really got to do in Denver to just make that up or actually grow? So splitting my time, traveling back and forth, I was like, you know what? There's 10,000 roofers. You guys have you can have Dallas. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a little competitive. Well, that's great. So as far as Elite Roofing and taking that and growing it, and you're trying to really lead, empower, and equip others and implement those tactics. What about sales? When you talk about, you said 15 sales guys, and you can scale your crews up and down, but you've got 15 sales guys that you're trying to keep busy year round and try to, maintain some kind of targets annually or quarterly, I'm sure. So what have been a few of the key principles that you've used to make sure your sales is effective?
Sure. I'll give you the foundation. Okay. And it comes down to, and this is stuff that we didn't just know, we had to learn. We learned over time. Our first, 3-4 years, we kind of spun our wheels a little bit. We grew, but it was just, it was pretty much all just my efforts, my partner, like us selling roofs and trying to, a couple big jobs that dictated our whole business. We're trying to hire salespeople. We didn't really have a sales program or sales system in place. And I think really it comes down to core values, right? Establishing what are your core values going to be, and everything builds from there. Your brand is built off those core values. The way you hire, the way you train, the way you develop people, all centers around those core values. Like, what is the bigger purpose of your company? What's that brand? What's the promise that you're putting to your local economy, your local markets? And that was the kind of foundation of it. So we've put a lot of energy into building our brand, and websites and all the digital marketing and all the things that we do there. But couple two or three key elements here that really accelerated our growth. One was building a training program, right? We have the ability to interview, hire, train, develop, hold accountable, run sales meetings. Like our sales infrastructure is really, obviously it's always improving, but that's been a key to our success. Is like, we want to grow, we get the opportunity, a hailstorm happens, we're not just hiring people and throwing them out there. We're putting them through a rigorous training program where they have to learn step by step exactly every single process that we do in order to scale our business, in order to produce roofs at a high level. So that's key, is having that training program, the ability to interview, and it all starts even with recruitment and attracting the right people. And that goes down to your brand as well. If you have a great brand that's giving back to the community, that's doing positive things, people are going to want to come work for you. If you have a brand that has a ton of great reviews online, and you have a great online reputation, people are going to want to come work for you. It's a lot easier to say, hey, do you want to come work for the number one rated company in one of the biggest markets? Or do you want to work for a company that just started 3 weeks ago that has one review and barely got listed on BBB? That takes a while. You got to have a vision to get to the level where you can sell that. So you just got to grind it out to do that. So a couple other things. Reviews, online reviews are just absolutely imperative. So we work really diligently on getting as many online reviews. One, take really good care of customers. Two, you get those reviews in a number of different ways. But we're near 350 reviews, maintaining 4.9 stars. That's just absolutely huge to support the sales team and their efforts. But here's the key: business development. So instead of let's do what everyone else is doing, right? Everyone else has door knockers. Everyone else is like, you want to come sell roofs? Go knock doors, generate leads for yourself, and maybe I'll throw you a lead here and there. That's just 80-90% of roofers. That's how I came in. That's how we started. That's how most companies do it. I wanted to challenge that status quo and figure out a different way. We went all in on online reputation, and we went all in on building long-term relationships with key influencers such as insurance agents, property managers, realtors. And we have a very large list at this point of agents, et cetera, that have us as the top of their list, the contractor that they choose to when people call them. So when a hailstorm hits, we get completely bombarded with business because of that reputation that we invested year after year after year of trying to build. So it's really a big vision and doing the legwork and taking the risk to kind of challenge the status quo that really has paid off and differentiated us in our market.
That's so good. I mean, what stands out to me about that, obviously with the brand and the core values, it's a principle-centered environment where you can really generate a sense of community in the place you work. And that's huge. I mean, like you said, I've got a buddy that owns his own brokerage here in Dallas. He has a company called the Real Estate Project. It's residential real estate, but their whole deal is, yes, they've got an amazing brand. They've got a great website. They've got all this cool stuff, but they give, I can't remember how much they give back out of every single transaction, but they give a lot back. And they just posted that, I think in 2020, they've given like $500,000 back to Dallas nonprofits that serve Dallas residents in need. And so when you join their team, you know that, like, I'm going and I'm going to give back. And also he pays his brokers a higher commission than most realtors and stuff like that. But the consequence is he's just got this amazing team, but it's all because of those core values and go into that. And I like what you said about the training program too, because I came into roofing from sales, but it was healthcare software sales. And before that, I did digital marketing sales for years. So I definitely needed, Miller is an awesome teacher and is real passionate as well about equipping others and really setting people up for success. But yeah, that training, man, that's just huge.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody. You touched on something there. I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but having some sort of higher purpose with your company on giving back is just is paramount. And I encourage everyone, the people I coach, I put it out there publicly all the time because I feel like every roofer, man, you're blessed to be in a situation where, one, you're not being affected terribly by COVID. Two, you're in essentially a recession-proof business. The insurance companies are paying you. There's good margins, or you're employing people, you're doing a lot of things. It's your duty to give back. Like, you're you need to be giving back one way or another. And that's one of the things that we implemented. Just like you said, we have, during our sales presentation at the end, we have a whole PowerPoint slide that shows these are all of the nonprofits that our employees support. So we polled our own staff and said, hey, we're coming up with a list of nonprofits, local nonprofits, and some national stuff that we want to support as a business. And it started right there. And then the homeowner even has an option to support one of their choice if they fit within our criteria. But yeah, we give a portion of every single roof back in donations. And then now with the coronavirus, I'm encouraging people to do something that they can do to give back to communities. And whether it's, donating food or food pantries, or running materials for people like elderly people, or whatever, buying masks, making masks, doing whatever you can to give back. And one of the things that we've seen a lot of just really cool results from is that we're doing what's called Dinner on Us. And we put some stuff out online and emailed every one of our past customers and let them know that, hey, if you or someone could use a little, pick me up and can use a little help right now, fill out this form on our website, and we're going to actually provide dinner for their whole family. And we've been doing that for over a month. And we originally were going to do it just for a month, and then it kept going. We're like, let's just keep going. I don't even know how much we spent. I don't really care, because it's just such a cool way to give back to people. And we're getting so many cool emails and stuff flying in that it's just a really cool way to give back and support people. And where we just press a button, order them their Grubhub, and they have a whole meal delivered to them. And it's just I don't know. So I encourage others to do the same thing or do something similar to that.
Yeah, that is cool. It's a good way to be remarkable. Be the kind of company that other people are going to remark about and share good news. It's so easy. People are so quick to share gossip and slander, but man, you're giving them a reason to share good news. So that's great. So you're passionate about leadership, about building a great culture. You guys have it sounds like you have a great sales training program, but what about marketing? I mean, especially with the COVID-19, now we're hearing the phrase digital door knocking all the time, but I'm sure as you went from 2 million to 20 million a year, you guys have tried some things that have just been a complete train wreck, and you've tried some things that went really well. So let's out of the gate, let's talk about some things that haven't worked so well or didn't work the way you thought as far as marketing your company and marketing for your sales guys goes.
Well, we've had some hit or miss opportunities with like radio. I mean, we've been on there's a local like Christian radio station, and we've been on for 6-7 years. And that's great. Like, it's just consistent. That, it's a cool little thing to do, just consistent. We're the main roofer on there. Other roofers come and go, but we've established such a great brand there. But every once in a while we'll try, some, other radio type things. And that's one of those things. If you're going to go into radio, you got to be in it for the long haul. So we've kind of, spent some money there. But really most everything is centered around our relationship and our brand. So yes, of course we have a pretty, that budget kind of goes up for AdWords and local service ads and Google. So we're going to always have some sort of leads that are coming in through that. I've never once hired or paid a lead source, a telemarketer or anything like that. So I just won't. Maybe it's a pride thing, because I have a degree in marketing, so that's kind of my, I'm prideful. Like I think I can build enough of a brand that we can market ourselves. But really a large percentage of our business comes from referrals and those relationships we've built. So we have people that work full time. All they do is business development. All they do is drive around and build relationships with key influencers. They go to events, farmers markets. They're doing, neighborhood events, citywide, or even like the home shows, home and garden shows. They're always doing stuff like that to just be in the public eye. We just started playing around a little bit with, I guess we're trying to talk about failures here, but most everything somewhat works, but we don't really, we don't go too crazy on just trying every little thing. Early on, I just kind of threw money at everything and nothing, and it didn't really work because we didn't have that reputation online. So if you're going to really invest, is make sure you have a really good website that converts people, and then you have a great reputation online, great reviews, and those sort of things. Those two things are like the key. If you don't have that, everything else is not going to be effective, because almost like 80% of consumers, especially in our space, are going to check your website and check your reviews before they make a decision. So if you don't have a good website and good reviews, you're swimming upstream, right? So you can have the greatest marketing strategy ever, or put the biggest budget out there, but you're not going to have huge results without having the right people. So we've always kind of been up or down with canvassing. Early on, we used to have canvassers, and that was just a really tough, hyper competitive type of thing. I really didn't like the idea of just hiring a bunch of people, throwing them out there with minimal training and hoping they succeeded. Like, I just I don't really set well with that, because I feel like, I don't want to be setting people up for success or for failure by not having a model built around that. Granted, a lot of people do really well, but I want to be a roofing company, not a recruiting company. Right. So that's a model. That's where we've actually kind of struggled. We haven't done well in the world of canvassing, but everything else that we have outside of that, we've seen some success with.
That's good.
That
That's good. That's quotable, man. My pen ran out of ink. Every time I look down, I'm writing notes, but that'd be something good to tweet out. I want to be a roofing company, not a recruiting company.
Right.
So you try different things. So is that what you would say? I mean, if you had one key piece of advice for people listening to this now that are thinking about, okay.
Yes. And then the next thing is, referrals are huge. You've got to have multiple layers of turning every customer into another customer. And it starts with how you sell them in the first place. Right? So if you're trying to knock on someone's door and give them a 15-minute pitch, give them a free deductible, sign here, I'll do your roof. Have you built a relationship to where you're going to be able to ask them for referrals, ask them for their mother, their grandmother, their neighbor to do their roof as well? No. Take the extra time, have a great, customer focused model from the selling point all the way to how your office staff interacts, the full customer experience, right? In the digital world, you got UI, UX, right? The user experience. And you got to think about that for roofers. Like, what experience are you providing all the way across the board? Not just the one person out there knocking doors. The entire company has contributes to the overall experience. And if you can focus really well there, naturally things are going to compound. So it's not all about lead gen. Everyone seems to think, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. Take care of the leads you have and turn those into future business. And that will compound itself. It starts with having a great brand, and then you want to try different marketing things to fill the pipeline up a little bit. But if you're not really focused on referrals and generating other leads off of the ones you have, you're always going to be chasing leads or hiring people to try to grow your business and you're kind of missing a couple core elements, I think.
It's so true. And Miller, I mean, before I started working with Miller at Raintide General Contracting, when we were a roofer in Dallas, his wife and my wife were friends and stuff like that. And so we had a hailstorm, and he said, "Hey, did it hail at your house?" I said, "Yeah, it sure did." This was several years ago. And he said, "Well, let me come check it out. We'll see if we can get the insurance company to pay for a new roof if you need one." And I was like, "Okay, I'm selling healthcare software, traveling around the U.S. Like, I don't know anything about roofs at this point. I don't know if I need a new roof. I don't know what that means. I don't know any of it." But he came over, he looked at the roof, and then let me know. He said, "You've got minimal damage, but we get a lot of hailstorms in Dallas. Why don't you wait until we get a really big storm, and then I'll come back free of charge and check it out and maybe file a claim." But he earned my trust right there, big time. Him and my wife were already friends. He and I were friends a little bit because we hung out at some of the same gatherings and stuff like that. But he earned my trust because I thought, wow, this guy came over here and he didn't try to sell me on a new roof. He told me I didn't need to file a claim. He told me I didn't need one. So now I trust him. Man, I started telling everybody about it. I told a good friend of mine that was a Ranger in the Army, who I highly go back to leadership. I mean, this guy's an incredible, phenomenal leader. Anyway, I told my buddy Chris about Miller. Miller did his roof and did a bunch of remodeling inside their house. I told another friend, he did their roof. I told my father-in-law, it just spreads like a wildfire when, like you said, it just serve people well. Mm-hmm. It's not a big mystery. Just serve them well, and then you can get those referrals. So it's just great to be reminded of that.
That's awesome, Miller. I love that. That's so powerful. Mm-hmm. And especially if you're trying to take the approach with building relationships with insurance agents. Okay, if you're just like, oh, this looks like hail. I think there's hail. The hail trace said there was hail, so I'm just going to file a claim.
Yeah, all the neighbors are filing claims.
Yeah, the neighbors. Look at the job objectively.
Mm.
And you're almost better off sometimes to establish a core relationship, especially on the agent side, when you call them and say, you know what, I checked out so-and-so's roof. Let's hold off. We don't need to do a roof right now. They're in good shape. I let them know and let me know the next one. That solidifies a relationship with the customer and with the agent way more than, well, I just filed 12 claims that are going to go against your book. And 6 of them get approved. The other 6 don't. No, that doesn't work that way. You know, so I love that you mentioned that. I mean, people, I think that goes overlooked and doesn't get talked about enough is how important it is. Every point of contact, every relationship, every time you connect with somebody, that's regardless of whether they have hail damage or whether they need a roof, that's still an opportunity to build a lasting relationship and become their roofer of choice in the future.
So true.
That's the idea.
We just got a call last week, didn't we, Miller, from a lady. You did her roof like 13 years ago. Something like that.
It was longer than that. I think it was 2001. So it was actually my dad that did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 19 years ago. Just crazy. But yeah, it sounds really like what you're saying is that, you know, the shortcut to success, there's not a shortcut. Just do the right thing and tell the truth. Yep. And that's kind of the long and the short of it, is that when you have the opportunity to do the right thing or the wrong thing, just do the right thing. And if you really want to build a business that's going to last, that's what you want it to be built on, is you're just going to do the right thing, no matter what it costs you. Because I bet it's cost you some money doing the right thing over the years.
Oh my gosh. You don't even, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know the drill. You've been around. I mean, here's the deal. For those of you watching, if you haven't been sued, if you haven't filed an insurance claim, if you haven't got yourself in a situation where it's going to cost you a bunch of money to fix something, you just haven't been doing it very long.
You're not trying hard enough.
I'm sorry, but it's going to happen. You know, just 2 weeks ago, one of our crews backed into the side of a house, like the side of a garage.
Oh yeah.
Tore out the whole section where there's bricks and all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, great. Learn how to drive a trailer, right?
Oh yeah.
You got to fix it. If things like that happen, you just got to take the high road, fix it. You know, you talk about that reputation. That's where you build your reputation, is when it's not like avoiding problems. It's how you handle the problems when they happen. Right. So I think that's so crucial.
Yep. For sure.
Kind of like marriage, right? You really learn how good of a spouse you are when you screw up.
100%.
How good are you at saying I'm sorry and being humble and just, I digress. But okay, well, this is great. And I want to be respectful of our time here and definitely give a little space here toward the end to talk about the Roofing Academy, because what I like about you and your situation is you're really big on core values and integrity, leadership. You have a track record of growing the company from 2 million to 20 million a year, but then you kind of took the business entrepreneur side of your brain and the roofing experience and launched the Roofing Academy. So tell our listeners and watchers about that and why they should jump into that.
So the idea there was on, you know, in addition to sharing our knowledge, when we feel like we've not only built, but like tested and modeled and figured out a business model of how to scale a roofing business. But not only myself, but my leadership team, which consists of family and friends and people I've been really close with, I just have always had a passion for helping others. And I feel like there's a lot of really good people in this industry that just don't necessarily have the education or the knowledge or the platform to learn the things that they just don't know. You know, so my objective here is like, I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to compete with the big conglomerates out there. I just like a handful of people that I can work with to help implement things and help guide them along the journey to ultimately help them avoid mistakes, but get to a place of freedom. Because I believe that those of us who start roofing companies or any companies, entrepreneurs, the majority of us, there's a few of those apples that are just greedy, and I don't want to deal with that. But the majority of us really have a higher vision as to why we start a business. And I believe it's to earn freedom. It's to build a life for ourselves, for our families, to build a business to where we don't have to be dragged and held like this ball and chain, working 80 hours to avoid working 40. You know, so I wanted to build a platform to help people achieve that, help people build a systemized, structured business that they can get into their lane, delegate and build a process for everything else, and to where they can just really build a great business that can essentially run on its own where you become a leader of your business versus the be all end all of your business. And every time I can achieve that with somebody, it's just an awesome feeling. So that's the goal. That's the mission, is to help people build systemized, structured businesses that allow them to start taking some of those hats off and really start to enjoy the fruits of their labor and enjoy their life a little bit more with freedom. So we built a platform that has 3 main components. One of them is online. So we have 12 online courses, over 150 training videos with testing and certifications and all these things, covering every process, every system that we've built to build the company we built. Those are all backed up with documents done for you, plug and play documents, spreadsheets, charts, agreements, you name it, it's all in there. And then the third component is coaching. So we do group coaching and one-on-one coaching. And then I also have one very limited access. We only take 10 or 12 contractors at a time. We do have a little bit of room if somebody's interested, but this is really for the hands-on coaching, high level. We're working together weekly with not only myself but my entire team. We really help you transform your business into a scalable model. The idea there with that growth program is to help people get over that $10 million mark. If you have the infrastructure and the people and you're ready to kind of try to make that leap, we have the ability to help you get there.
So it sounds like you guys have a pretty robust platform for training processes, and I'm huge on the process side. One of the things that I became a believer in early on was a process-driven system, to where it's not people-centric, it's process-centric. That way it's repeatable, it's trainable. Mm-hmm. You've made a bunch of decisions ahead of time of how you want things to play out with the sales process, with communication, with all these different things. But in addition to that, you guys offer almost like a mastermind group where you meet with people and help them to grow their business, and they can have somebody looking over their shoulder, coaching them along, helping them make decisions and giving them the support they need.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a membership program. So you become a member. We try to do things to connect the community. We have private groups. We do live events, as well as weekly group coaching. And then I also meet one-on-one with people, and it's awesome, man. It's a lot of fun. We've only been doing it for going on 2 years now, and some of our early contractors are like calling me hey, I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready for the next level, because we've got there, and that's just such a cool call to get. When somebody you've worked with from literally the day they started their business to where they're doing, they double or triple their original goal, and now they're like, all right, I need to hire 2 more people in this position. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's focus on that. And it's just a lot of fun. Really, it's a lot of fun to kind of serve our industry and really help good people achieve awesome things.
That's awesome. Well, for people who want to learn more about that, how can they find the Roofing Academy and get in touch with you?
It's very, very difficult. The roofingacademy.com. And it was available. It's crazy, right? 3 years ago. But theroofingacademy.com, you can find out all about our programming. Right at the top, there's a book me. You can book a call with me. We can get on a call and chat about it and kind of see which of our programs are a good fit for you, and just take it from there. So that's the quickest, easiest way. Or you can reach out to me on pretty much all the social media platforms. Facebook Messenger seems to be the most common one that I'm on a regular basis. So, or LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, Randy, thanks for joining the show, man. It's been great to have you on. And for all of those listening, definitely check out theroofingacademy.com. You can get some great resources there and learn more about Randy's program to how to take your roofing company to the next level. So, Randy, thanks for being on the show, man.
Dylan Miller, it was awesome hanging out with you guys, and I look forward to doing this again.
That's right.
And, let's flip it, and we'll get you on our show as well, the Start Build Grow show.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks, Randy.
Take care.